Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, followers of the esoteric path, slayers of hypocritical gobshites, lovers of sarcasm. What a interesting start to the season we're having. We've had 2 solid weeks of almost non-stop rain, so flooding is starting to be an issue, which is interesting considering all those greedy housing developers didn't really give a fuck about nature, so they decided to build in these $1.5 million shitboxes in ex-wetland areas. How are you going with that, assholes? I just find that amusing. I find a lot of things amusing lately. And yes, my recent experiment in friendship I find incredibly amusing. Funny how someone can get so butthurt and destroy a so-called friendship over opinions that I've held right long before we even met. Funny that. But other things that amuse me too. The way mainstream media is, well, demonizing all things Russian more than usual, right? Because it was basically, if you remember, Trump won the election whenever it was, 2016, whatever. That's how much I care about American politics. Jeez. Using Russian bots, remember? Everything was blamed on Russian bots. So, of course, you can imagine lately the Russian demonization has been in total overdrive, just to the point where on social media, in this convict settlement called Australia, we find local liquor stores removing Russian vodka from the shelves. I'm thinking, right, so are you still buying Chinese products after Tiananmen Square? Yeah, that's what I thought. Can you say fucking hypocrites? Right? And I was at one of my cafes yesterday and I mentioned that this certain loudmouth, thoroughly brainwashed by the mainstream media. Kind of person that would spend all evening taking in all of the propaganda narrative and the next day mindlessly parroting said narrative, right? Without even any fucking thought or investigation of one's own. So I was having my coffee, as I do, and towards the end of the hour, so I was thinking of going for a bit of a walk through the mall, as I do, and study humanity around me. And although it was a little bit earlier than I planned, after I heard him, they were talking about Russian tennis players. The cafe proprietor is a huge tennis fan, and he was talking tennis with the loudmouth, and the loudmouth was saying that all Russian tennis players should be punished and stripped and all this kind of bullshit, until the proprietor said, well, people themselves shouldn't be punished because they happen to be Russian. He goes, oh no, they should, blah blah blah. And that really, really, really fucking pissed me off. Because my first thought was, where was that attitude during all those years of the Hellenic and Armenian genocide in Asia Minor? I know, Dennis, I know, I'm talking about Turkey again. Fucking shoot me, right? Fuck's sake. Where was that attitude after Tiananmen Square? But guess where Apple had all its manufacturing plants? In China, right? Where was that attitude during the killings in countries like Cambodia? Where was that attitude after the invasion of northern Cyprus by those Turkish cunts? Where was that attitude of support? Where were the flags all over the place? Right. The propaganda machine wasn't as powerful back then, with this perpetual receiving propaganda in a split second social media world we have today, right? Technology worshipping social media world, right? And so I stood up and I realised I had to get out of the cafe as soon as I heard that nonsense. And I said out loud, there was only me and those two and the coffee girl. And yeah, that's how well the cafe's going these days. And I said out loud, I made a kind of sarcastic comment about funny, where was that attitude during World War II and the Jews, something like that. And I went to pay, and I told the coffee girl, I better get out of here before I turn green and expand. And I said to the mouthy cunt, so should Australians and Canadians be judged? Should every single Canadian and Australian be judged based solely on what their prime minister, their respective prime ministers are doing? I go, how fucking stupid does that sound? And I left, and everywhere we're hearing anyone who happens to be Russian being punished for what their leaders and their government are doing. Just stop and think about that for a minute. How fucking stupid does that sound? Probably as stupid as, all pale-skinned people should be punished, even though we're all different races, for what the ancestors of the black Americans went through, because they're the only fucking people in the history of the world that went through slavery, right? Going back hundreds of thousands of years. Oh no! You see how stupid that sounds? How absolutely fucking stupid that sounds. And even here, even in Australia, the Aboriginals, and it's not so much the full-blooded Aboriginals, they're some of the nicest people you'll meet. It's the half-breeds and the quarter-breeds and the one-eighth breeds that are the angriest. They're the ones getting drunk and sniffing petrol and going, land rights, the white man. At least my ancestors had the balls to get up and earn our country back. What was your fucking excuse? I actually told one of those, too fond of the flagon, brother. Talking about land rights, and even though that was 1788 and the ensuing decades, right? But somehow it's affecting them. And the same thing here. You guys have heard it. Every single straight man is blamed for all the atrocities in the world because we happen to be straight males, right? You've copped it before. You've seen it online. You've seen what these mouthy cunts talk about all the time. They've got a mucusy hole, so that makes them the masters of the universe, right? I don't fucking think so. There's a wonderful thing called merit. You might want to fucking try it sometime. And everywhere. These fucking mindless cunts, yeah, my brother included, just take in all the propaganda from the mainstream media propaganda machine and just don't fucking question it. Not even fucking once. Anyone with half a brain are realising, hang on a minute, there's something more going on. There's something more to the story that we're not being told. And you're heavily punished and censored if you even dare question or offer that suggestion, namely that something else is going on. But no, my fuckers, this is the kind of world we're living in. So normal everyday people, tennis players, whatever, they should all be punished because what? They happen to be Russian? In what way are they responsible for what their leaders and government are doing? Is there a mass genocide and they're happily, gleefully taking part in the destruction of existing cities and towns and raping and killing and looting? No. Yes, I know I'm talking about the Turks again. We're talking about the people that inspired Hitler. Well, what a fucking legacy you Turks have, eh? What a fucking lovely legacy you have. It's kind of funny, I was walking to the to do some grocery shopping the other day after my walk. And the funny thing is, when I get into that Hulk mode, the only thing that helps is listening to Amon Amarth. Don't ask me why, it just really hits the spot. But I was listening to my music as I do, and I was walking. There's a taxi rank right there where I walk, and there are a whole group of little Turkish taxi drivers, and I was literally twice their size. I was looking at them with a smirk on my face. I'm thinking, in an alternative world, in a parallel world, I would have had a sword and or an axe on my back and on my hip, and I would have thoroughly enjoyed some payback on behalf of my ancestors, right? But it's funny that when over here in Australia, they absolutely deify this whole Anzac bullshit. The diggers fighting in Gallipoli. Fighting for Mother England and knowingly throwing the Canadians, Australians and the New Zealanders as cannon fodder. Right? At least my great-grandfather fought against the Bulgarians before World War One, during the Balkan War, and kicked some serious backside, I have to say, so I'm sticking my middle finger up. At least he actually fought for his land. Right? But yeah, that's the kind of world we're living in. That you're, with this recent scamdemic, which you notice has totally disappeared off the face of the mainstream media, right? They're not going on about ceaselessly bleating about the numbers and the so-called deaths anymore. It's all Russia invading the Ukraine. Nothing else exists, right? You notice? And that is the kind of world we're living in, where when the scamdemic began, those who even dared to question, whether they be doctors, normal everyday people, specialists, the guy who invented mRNA technology, doesn't matter. They were censored and ridiculed and demonized and all the rest of it, and because we dared to ask questions, because what we were being told didn't make sense. There were too many inconsistencies, which they're slowly now acknowledging. I mean, we're living in a world where, oh, no, we're not going to share the exact numbers anymore because anti-vaxxers are going to use it as fuel to la 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 la. Yeah, because people have woken up, or to a very slight degree. There's enough of a population, a percentage of the population of people who are questioning towards the end there, where the powers that be feel they need to censor the data, right? So you're not even allowed to ask questions. Now you think about that for a second. You get censored and demonized and ridiculed and fuck knows what else for even asking questions, and that's the same thing with this Russia-Ukraine situation. You're not even allowed to fucking ask questions. For example, a question would be, I wonder why Russia is bombing the same areas which have the those bioweapon lab places, whatever they are, right? Much like Wuhan, but in Ukraine there were certain 6 or 7 areas that were being bombed, which happened coincidentally to coincide with those places holding such labs. Funny that. But you're not even allowed to ask questions, and that is evil, just pure evil, and that is the world we're living in, and that is why many of us are disconnecting from all things mainstream and hoping for the heralding of the parallel society, which many of us are kind of getting into on our own anyway. We're amongst the normies, but we're not of the normies, right? And that's what you do. You disconnect. You turn off the nightly news. You stop reading those interestingly placed posts on mainstream media like Facebook, and you do your own thing. You do those things which make you happy, which bring joy and fulfillment to your life, whatever those hobbies or interests or whatever it is. Because we need it now more than ever. We're living in an Orwellian nightmare where you're not even allowed to fucking ask questions. I just can't get over that. That's just incredible. But I'll leave it there, I think. And yeah, once again, be careful with whom you befriend, because people are not of your ilk. You'll find there's always a hidden agenda. Most people, unfortunately, today are not what they seem. Most people have a hidden agenda. Although I say under my breath, are you going to complain as Dennis or Nadia? But anyway, yeah, thanks fuckers. I think I'll leave it there. Just remember, to speak the truth is a lonely path. The sarcastic, heathen hammer-wielding lone wolf on guitar, out.